for it anymore, baby.
You've given it up. You've given it
I
up.
drank, you know what I
Yeah.
drank the other night? I drank some wine, and it just didn't take. I like it was like I gagged it down.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she did say.
Well, you knew that was
All
coming.
right. So
Hey,
let me tell you guys the what happened here this weekend. Just give you a quick rundown. So obviously my father, his wife, his current wife, and my mother, his ex-wife, were all in the room for the first time in 30 some years. I said that I'd put them in a room together. I did it. The first night, Titus, that's my son. So the first night, my father sits down, starts drinking at about, I'm going to say at about 3:30. He has his first drink. Now, my father does not have the tolerance I have. His nickname is Two Beer Timmy. It's been that way. He does not have a tolerance. So it starts off with the cleaning crews in, they go outside. I come upstairs with the family, to watch the kids. My wife is out there. By the time I get down there, when the cleaning crew leaves at about 5, he's lit. So I sit down. It's my first time being with them, for this period of time. And, we're just chatting. Everything's friendly. And we start talking about Instagram and he goes, these kids these days are all vain. And I said, well, Dad, my whole childhood, my dad was ripped. I was like, you were wearing a Speedo with no shirt my entire childhood. I'm pretty sure you would be the Instagram, like a little whore right now.
If you were today, yeah, certainly.
He takes that as a negative. In the meantime, it's a complete compliment because the guy was jacked. He's like, me, I would.
If I was him, I feel like that was wasted. Like, wow, why wasn't I born a little bit later?
My
Capitalized it.
My mother goes, Tim, do you remember when you walked out and started gardening in your tidy whities? My dad now is because he hates being embarrassed. So now he's embarrassed. So now he starts getting a little volatile. He's like no other reaction.
Emotional.
And now his current wife jumps in and goes, Tim, do you remember when you were in Thailand and you ran outside in your underwear? And now he's derailed. He feels like all 3 people are against him. In the meantime, it starts off with a compliment. So this sets the night. So he shoots out of the room with emotions, to be able to digest the fact that he's now under attack. Not under attack. He just ran into reality, with people.
Right.
So he comes back and he tries to switch gears, and he's like, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to tell Mary Jo, which is my wife, my mother, and his ex-wife, and next to his wife, he's going to tell her about when we went to Naples recently with the family. He goes, recently I brought Eric and the family down to Naples. We had a great time. In the meantime, it's Marco Island. It wasn't Naples. My father has a little bit of Alzheimer's. It's right off the coast, but my father,
Florida or Italy?
It's in Florida.
Florida.
So he's had Alzheimer's for years. So for people that hear this and think I'm fucking with a person with Alzheimer's, you're right. I do that throughout this entire story, but he's had literally dementia from the time he's been in his 30s. So for me, it's just been
You think he's had it selectively, or?
No, legitimately, there's genuine memory lapses that have just progressively become, to me, funnier and funnier. But in reality,
more tragic for him, funnier for you. I get it.
For other people, I understand you'll hear this and be like, what an asshole. So he starts telling the story about Naples and Marco Island. And he's like, it was me, it was Mary Jo, and it was Eric and the family. Now, Mary Jo's my mother, and his ex-wife is right there. And Anjana, who's his current wife, goes, you mean Anjana? And my mom goes,
Anjana.
She goes, which suits her because that's what she gives you. Anjana.
So I know exactly what I'm like. What?
My mom goes, you can kick him, because my father substituted my mother for Anjana in this memory, switched it just like that. And he goes, you guys know what I meant. That was the first of many switches that had happened. That was the first awkward moment, and not even close to the worst. So we go inside, and he's sitting at I've got this island that's basically a big bar, but it's basically a white island. You sit kind of, at a hooked angle, and he's sitting next to her. And my father has no game at all. And at some point, in a Joe Biden-esque way, he leans over and goes, "Mary Jo," whispers like, "It is so," and I know I'm to his right, and I know what he's doing because I've seen it, and I brought him on blind dates with other women, and I've seen this creepy ass thing coming. I'm like, he's getting ready to be over the top, he's getting ready to lavish praise and just get weird. I'm like, oh, fuck. And he goes, "It is so good to see you. It's been forever, and I've just missed talking to you." And I'm going, and you can feel him wanting to just grab her and kiss her. And his wife is talking to my wife or a few feet away. And everyone is acutely aware of the fact that he is now leaned in for the whisper talk. My mother goes, it's good to see you too, Tim, kind of holding it together. And now this is where, this is the part that blows my mind, is he goes, so he's got a story that he's been telling for years about her parents being assholes to him. So he's like, "I haven't talked to you in 30 some years." So what does he do right here? He goes, "There's a story I want to tell you about that's seared into my brain. And it's the story of my mother's dead parents slighting my father." And he goes into it, and I'm sitting here like going, if this were a movie, you couldn't, because he's been waiting 30 some years with a master plan to talk to his ex-wife.
His move.
Get back together with his move is to disparage
Her dead parents. Wow.
tell her a story about how they did him wrong. So it's seared into my brain. And the story is basically the following. I'll cut it short. He wanted to ask for my mother's hand in marriage. My mother's mother said, "Please don't right now," because he had knocked up my mom. Even they were 19. "Please don't right now because my grandfather was going for his doctorate. So he delayed. My grandfather lost respect because he never actually asked, because he had done it because of my grandmother." So it's this big victim story. And I've heard this story for a long time, for many years. So he goes through this story. And my mom goes, "Well, Tim, you remember what this was. This was the day." Now, this is the part my father had left out for 30 some years. It's the day that I got told that they were getting a divorce. So we went whitewater rafting. And my mother's sister made fun of my father, who's paddling like a maniac. And she's just sitting back there going, "Paddle harder, Tim." She's from South Carolina. "Why aren't you paddling harder?" And my dad didn't get the sarcasm. He's paddling, and we're all laughing because we're like, this fucking guy's freaking out like a fucking maniac, like a rabid dog. And she's going, "Paddle, you aren't paddling hard enough, Tim." In the meantime, total sarcasm. He's not getting it. He's paddling like a maniac. So after that, he came back and announced to the whole family he wanted to do a divorce because my mom didn't back him up. And he freaked out, told everybody that he wanted to divorce my mother. This is not going to work, all because his ego was bruised because her sister gotten the best of him. So this all happened.
It's such a man thing, though. I get it. Like, yeah, I get that.
So I'm
when you said that part. Oh man.
Greenville, South Carolina. I come out and I get told my parents
Fuck
are
that.
divorced because of a whitewater rafting trip, which is what I thought was the basis for the breakup.
Yeah, that was just to pop the balloon. But yeah, I totally get that being the catalyst.
So the day that he's the biggest douchebag maybe in the history of his life, he had turned into a day where he's the biggest victim by the fact that the father didn't ask for the hand in marriage. The whole story was on the same day. I thought it was on. So the day that he's the biggest dick in history became the day that he was the biggest victim over 30 years. But he left off what the day was. And my mom corrected me. And I'm sitting here going, "You got to be fucking kidding me. That's the day that you're saying that her father," because her father took my mom for a walk and said, "Look, if you need money, if you need help,
your story is terribly depressing."
Yes,
I'll tell you why. It's depressing because it tells us that even right now, 20 years from now, all three of us, this story tells us that we don't change, that we're still going to be wrapped up in some drama or whatever. The sitting
Bullshit.
back on the rocking chair and just relaxing and thinking about the goodness of life, yeah, probably not going to happen. Most likely, you're going to be an uproar. You're going to be a laughing stock of your kids. We all are. It's inevitable.
So I'll kind of fast forward a bit here. They talk for about an hour. It's so fucking awkward. They're basically fighting about the past, about everything that's happened. This is night one, and his wife's right there, and I like 7 feet away talking to my wife, and I walked over and I go, awkward, like this fucking awkward, awkward. And in the meantime, I'm loving every bit of it. I find night one to be hilarious because this is what I was looking for. So they stopped fighting, arguing and going through their past. So I put on Carlos Santana. And back to the original story, Carlos Santana is a joke. I put it on for my senile father, and he immediately tells the story. It doesn't matter if he's told the story 4 times in a week. If I put on Carlos Santana and mention it, he tells the story. However, it turns out when I told my mom that my father had abandoned her to go to Carlos Santana, so that when he found out that she knew that he had abandoned him, he sent her an email 40 years later saying, look, I never abandoned you, which is the most awkward email ever written, saying, look, I didn't abandon you. I didn't go to Carlos Santana. So I put on Carlos Santana like an asshole going, there's no fucking way this guy's going to walk into the Carlos Santana trap. It's just not possible. Send her a fucking email. You send her an email saying he didn't do it. He goes, Carlos Santana. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, come over. Starts singing, sings like shit. It's like just loud as he's hammered. Oh, yeah, come on. Mary Jo. Anjana and I went and saw Carlos Santana in Vegas. And I'm going, okay, he's going to tell her the Vegas story. Smart, stay away from Venezuela. And I said, hey, Carlos. So he talks to Carlos and he goes, I saw you in 1973 in a bull ring in Venezuela. Blows the whistle as he's talking to Carlos Santana, tells her the entire story about how he abandoned her while not realizing that he had sent an email saying that he had not abandoned her about 2 years ago on the exact story. And my wife recorded it. She was talking to his current wife, and she couldn't help it because she was dying on the inside that he was actually.
You know, we used to call that back in the day. Yeah. We used to call it alpha male.
He's like, I did this. So that was night one. Was my father, creepily, he wanted to grab her. His wife clearly realizing that she's number 2, number 3, number 4, maybe not even on the radar. So night 2 comes. All right. And I'm like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen on night 2? So night 2, he comes, he's in pretty good behavior. He starts drinking at about 4, about a half hour later, night 1. And so night 2, it actually starts off with my mother and I going to go get meat. I go to a farm to get meat. And my mom and I get in a fight on the way there. Why? Because I put on a global warming Joe Rogan podcast because she's a global warming climate change person. And she hates Joe Rogan for some reason. And this is a climate change person. And she decided she hated that person. And the person goes, what percentage of CO2 is the United States responsible for? He goes, 12%. She's seething. She goes, it's actually 20%. And I go, oh, I didn't know. She's mad. At the time we get there, she goes, are you trying to torture me? Are you trying to torture me? I was like, this is what you're torture. She was very angry with me because she didn't agree with this guy's stats. So
that's torture. That's like Jimmy talking about why do people cry? Torture. Right nowadays, it's torture. It's harm. Saying something you don't like is enough to make you cry, make you be tortured.
My mom was emotional, I think, from the night before. And she was, I said, look, you become very intolerant now that you're older. I am intolerant. I was like, yes, you are very intolerant. So I grab the stuff, I come back. It sets the stage for what happens later. So there's a reason I tell that part. So we're sitting around the table and we talk about Lindsey Graham being gay. And I go, yeah, Lindsey Graham. I hear Lindsey Graham is gay. You know who else I hear is gay is Paul Pelosi and Barack Obama. Those are also two people. So now, mind you, they consider me a
I
Republican.
never heard Obama.
Oh no, very well. There's people that have gone public, that are like, and there are people that got murdered that went public, and people that went public before he was.
I won't partake in such
Very well
slander, but
Well, you can watch the videos are still up. So, and there's
I'm just gonna say I never thought he was gay.
yeah,
Oh,
I
he-
never appeared that way. to me.
Just to get that on the record.
well, yeah,
Exactly.
because I want to be here. But I said he was his room when he was a senator. He was called Bathhouse Barry because he was in the gay bathhouses all the time. Like that, it's been around for.
I
a
think
while.
I've heard that. I think I've heard that as a joke at some point, but
No, it's
I'm not-
real.
I'm-
Weird shit.
And there's
bad
heard
house
shit.
Barry.
either way, it was squashed by the media. So if you didn't catch it at the time, you probably haven't
Good
heard it.
thing.
Okay. So I said these are rumors about everybody. That's actually there was a rumor that
Extreme
Barack-
claims demand extreme evidence,
correct,
right?
and there's a guy that actually has receipts and stuff, but it's a whole that's legitimate receipts. I swear to God, he's got receipts. It's just fucking weird. But either way, so there's a rumor that Obama and Lindsey Graham. So the funny part for me was they're saying a Republican is gay, and I'm like, yeah, everyone. Lindsey Graham's been around, and I'm like, yeah, Paul Pelosi and Obama. Democrats don't play the equal. They want only one side and not their side. In the meantime, I'm like, aren't you guys being homophobic? I think it's awesome if they were all gay. I'm for all of it, like all of
Wait a
them
second.
gay together. So they got really mad about the fact that I said that Obama's gay. My dad goes, don't you have a conspiracy theory that Michelle Obama is the guy? I go, yeah, she probably has a dick. I go, I bet she's better hung than I am. She's got more compliments on her hall in pictures.
I think that's one of those. I think that's one of those scurrilous,
it's
nasty
it's
partisan rumors. You know, she's
it's
a chick, and she's
it's
annoying as fuck, but she's a woman, and you know.
what it doesn't matter. At this point, I'm just fucking with them. You know what I mean?
But she
Right.
started it with the Lindsey Graham comment. She started that shit.
Well, she thought that it only goes, and I said, look, there's rumors on both sides. You know what I mean? And Michelle Obama, there's a lot of videos with her big dick being out there, and I've never had people compliment. I don't have any videos of my big dick swinging around. I don't have any videos. I've been around for fucking 48 years. I've got a dick. It's not as big as hers, but I've never had a dick. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is
Got a
that,
handful, probably.
all
Who
I'm
knows?
saying is that she could start for the Bears tomorrow. That's all I'm saying.
The Sixers.
LeVar Arrington.
Fucking Sixers.
They said that LeVar Arrington has nothing on her. Look at
Yeah,
her.
Sixers is more like it.
So either way, I'm not judging. I hope she's.
Right on, I get you. I feel that. Yeah.
I'm not anti-trans. I want her to be trans. I want her to be whatever the fuck her wants to be. And
You
I'm
bet
not
your ass she's using fucking men's deodorant.
Axe body spray for shit. So either way, so I'm making these comments. All of a sudden, the mood, obviously, they don't find it fun. My wife is dying because she hears me under my breath going, she's LeVar Arrington, but she's whatever. And my wife's dying laughing. And of course my father's wife, who's trying to start, you sure married the right woman. Because she's laughing at all my nonsense. So that started and divulged into a whole. So the conversation went away. I'm sitting talking to my dad. My mother comes over out of the blue and goes, I was offended last night. And I go, offended? Like I'm on the couch talking to my father. She comes over and goes, I was offended last night. I go, offended? I don't give a fuck.
Shut the fuck up.
I just said that out of instinctually, somebody throws a jab, offended. I don't give a fuck. That's your problem.
Offended.
That's not my problem. That is your problem. You
Wrong
deal-
department.
wrong department. Yeah, I don't even care why. Just go figure it out with yourself and come back. We can talk. I go, I'm talking to him. So I had no voice, like I couldn't talk, like I like that. So she kept peppering at me about a video that I created that so my brother-in-law and my wife didn't think they were related. And for years, my brother-in-law thought his mother, my mother-in-law had cheated on him. She's dead now. And so is my father-in-law. So I made this video. So I said, look, I'll pay for this DNA test, knowing that she's not a whore, if I get to do whatever I want with the test. So I created this game show with the results, and I haven't published it because it's private, but it's really fucking funny. And so I did go through this whole thing, and I'm like, Alex thinks his mother's a whore. She cheated in New York, goes through this whole thing. And she goes, you called your mother-in-law a whore. I go, I didn't fucking call her a whore. I fucking paid for this test that proved that she wasn't a whore and knew that she wasn't a whore. I built this whole presentation, did like a 30-minute presentation to Phil Collins, by the way.
Your favorite.
Phil, I can see it coming.
It's a great song. If you like him or not, you got to say that's a great song. Fantastic song.
So go through this whole thing. And so we get in this big blow up. And over this, my father comes over, and this was the best thing that could have happened for him. So I didn't realize that as I was blowing up with my mother, who was accusing me of calling my dead mother-in-law a whore, who I actually liked better than her in every possible way. She, I didn't say that, but I was thinking, like, I really liked her. She was better to me than you ever were. So I go through this whole thing where I'm dealing with this shit going, look, I loved her. This was to bring the family together. And I'm losing because I can't talk. Like, I'm like, I get it. So I have to yell to get even a sound out. My father's coming over and going, Eric, call him, basically like, you should not tell your mom to fuck off and get out of the house, And I'm like, I am hooking him up right now. I am fucking hooking. He looks good. And he's like, it brought them together. Like, I swear, like I sat there going, people don't realize right now I'm doing what I said I'd do. And I was laughing my ass off on the inside. So night 2, night 3 is we go to the beach. We go to Clearwater Beach. The whole family's there. I get everybody drunk. There's like 20 people. We're all getting shit-faced. Mushrooms are involved. Pete West is there with his family. Everybody's fucking high and tripping. My mom seeks my father out to talk to him some more, and almost gets in a physical confrontation with his current wife. And they get aggressive with each other.
Is there an age gap?
Yeah,
between like wife and
3-4 years, nothing serious.
Okay, nothing. No.
73. Tail of the tape, they'd be in the same way.
Right.
My mother's a higher weight class. Got the other one's a little bit younger.
It's all negligible.
Size 10 versus size 8. Catch weight.
Catch you. It's like Canelo against Nero. We're sidetracked. Go ahead.
So I missed the confrontation. I had to hear about it from other people, but what I did hear from Pete's wife is she went up and said, "Hey, what's your wife's name?" And my father goes, Mary Jo, which is his ex-wife's name. And
that's going to be me too. That's going to be you. All right, go ahead.
She walks away going, I thought her name was something different. And my wife goes, no, that's his ex-wife. She goes, oh my God, I can't imagine. Obviously there's nothing more disrespectful than calling you
awful.
Oh my God. Like
but it's something when you're older, man, these sorts of shocking things you forget or misspeak and things, it starts to creep on you.
So I watched a little bit of it, but for the most part, they hashed out like all their past shit. His wife, my father's current wife, goes to my mother and I and goes, you guys need to get in therapy. And I said, I don't give a fuck about any of this. Like, for me,
they need to get in therapy, not me.
I was alone. Like, my mom goes, I haven't thought about this in years. Like, it's good to talk about. But I said, you two, like his current wife and him, you guys need to get in therapy. or leave me out of it. I don't live in the past like that. Like you were talking about, are we going to do this when we're older? A superpower I haven't mentioned an ex to my wife ever. I don't think about them ever, unless if I do think about them, it's fleeting and go, hey, I hope they're doing well. But no memories, no thoughts. Like if there's something in the past, it's gone for me. It's all about now and the future. I've got a ton of memories with friends, but I don't think about girls like that. And probably because I've watched my father do it for so many years that I realize how detrimental it is to development. It's not healthy. Like he's been pining over my mom for 40 years, and it's not good. It's very sad to watch. The guy's gonna die in pain.
Maybe that's just his lot in life, man. Destiny is, we have to love our fate. Amor fati. Maybe that's just his lot. That's
Maybe
what's
it's
kept him going, man.
Maybe
Well,
it's weight weakness. Maybe
Well,
it's weakness.
I think the lesson is you can't look back like that and expect to move forward. If it's just like walking, if you're walking backwards, you're going to trip, eventually.
Right.
You gotta let the past go, when it's necessary, and move forward and come to grips with what you've done and the decisions you've made, and be happy that you're still alive and
Some
be thankful
people-
for those
some-
mistakes.
That's some people's biggest obstacle, and
A lot,
it's
a
a
lot.
weakness. It's
A
weakness.
lot.
Our suffering, the suffering that we have right now it's the price. Our suffering is the price we pay for existing.